everything without us saying anything, but just by being. And he thinks that this, we were asking about a program, he thinks it would be useful if we could work and try and discover what this trick or connection is, because in his view we're almost there, but not quite.
Well, I couldn't agree more. Really, I couldn't. I would only say that there's more than one trick. But supposing there were half a dozen, 1, 2, 3, 4, we had to acquire this, and there isn't much time to spare. It's not very much, as you say, we're almost there. But one of the ways we've been taught, in connection with this idea of arranging your mind that would be in a state of consciousness when people would see that you are radiating consciousnness, example, is to eliminate all thoughts of I and mine. And Shankaracharya has said more than once that if we succeeded in doing that, everybody with whom he came in contact would know it. That's really the one trick, but it contains the number. And, Professor Dewey, we are invited to New York in May, and all this question is very apposite because Mr. Ravenik wants us to collect God knows how many new people and have public lectures and things like we did before. But I feel that I want to talk to the group and try and find this one trick which will enable them to go on alone when Mr. Ravenik and I are no more, and the other senior people. So it's got a dual purpose, this visit to New York. They'll be thinking about that. It's not till May, luckily. Now, we've got another few minutes. Supposing we play the next trick, which is at our feet, drop all thoughts of I and mine. Just as a little uplift to take away with us, in connection with the fact that at all times and in all places there has been this desire. About 500 BC, modern scholarships place this passage said much further west, but at the same time as the original Sri Shankara. It'll be familiar to you, but it does say the same thing.
Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye, buy and eat. Yea, come, buy wine and milk without money, and without price. Wherefore do ye spend money for that which is not bread, and your labour for that which satisfieth not? Incline your ear, and come unto me. Hear, and your soul shall live. Return unto the Lord, and he will have mercy upon you, and to our God, for he will pardon you abundantly. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, saith the Lord.
The whole difficulty is to understand that the one whom we seek, his thoughts are not our thoughts, and his ways are not our ways.
For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. For ye shall go out with joy, and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth into singing before you, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Instead of the thorn shall come up the fir tree, and instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree. And it shall be to the Lord for a name, for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off.
That was said to the Israelites after all their suffering and captivity in Babylon, and they came home with a new world at their feet. So all our suffering is probably also for some purpose in this country today. Where he himself had suffered cardiac arrest on 2 occasions, 10 minutes apart, and of what happened to him when he was apparently dead. By the time he came to write this book, in November 1970, which was first published in November 1975, he had, first as university lecturer in philosophy and later medicine, collected some 150 case histories at first hand of people who had died, in inverted commas, and been brought back to life or had some other near-death experience. This book, to his astonishment, they all said the same thing in relation to certain important points. Though they were drawn from a very wide range of which included a young man serving in the Vietnam War who was hit with 6 rounds of machine gun fire, yet was completely at ease from the moment of impact and retained a very vivid memory of events from that moment back to his earliest childhood. All agreed, for instance, that the experience of death was a very pleasant thing, so peaceful and pleasant, without any physical pain, that they were very reluctant to return to life. Other chief points of agreement were that at the moment of cardiac arrest, they seemed to be in a very dark tunnel, often moving very fast, with a light at the far end. And gradually became acquainted, as death deepened, with what some called a being of light, quoted, who seemed to be a very personal being, full of love and warmth, who had such an irresistible attraction for them that they did not want to lose contact. This being would ask certain questions, such as, are you prepared to die? what have you to show me? What have you done with your life to show me? And all agreed that this was never spoken in condemnation, never to accuse or threaten them, but simply to make them think in a different way about their lives as part of their education. All agreed, moreover, that at the time of cardiac arrest, they seemed to be out of their body, but continuing to exist in a bodily form with very different characteristics and powers. And from this bodily form, they would look down on their physical body and at the efforts of the medical staff and others to resuscitate it, and often to wish that they would stop pounding it in that way, exclamation mark, and leave them in peace. To many of them, this being of life seemed to be stressing 2 points about life in the world. One, the need for love of one's fellow men, and the other, the need for true and continuing knowledge. Nearly all of them found that when they returned to life, they viewed it very differently. Their interest was aroused in the evidence of this being, of the presence of this being, and they sought confirmation, which they found in many different writings, inspired writings of different eras, in different languages and times and places. But there being wholly inadequate language in which to express their experiences, and because they were often laughed at and regarded as rather mad if they spoke about them to anybody but some intimate, they preferred not to speak, and hence had no idea that anyone else in the world had the same experience. The fact that this book, which contains these case histories but draws no conclusions, went through 4 reprints in the original edition, followed by 11 reprints in paperback. The last being in 1977, and being the subject of a précis in Reader's Digest, which I had already read, seems to show that people accept with great interest the findings, whatever conclusions they might individually draw. Reading these first-hand accounts makes it clear that with the arrest of heartbeat and breathing, when the subject is pronounced dead by onlookers and doctors, the subject passes into a new state of consciousness which he doesn't remember ever experiencing before. with this new state, all limitations of his physical body vanish almost instantaneously. This new state is evidently world 3, the causal world. But on the way there, the subject passes rapidly through world 2, the world they ordinarily experience in dreams by night and by day. This dream world is so subjective and depends so completely on the individual attitude, habits, and beliefs that it is not to be trusted at all. These experiences by meditators show that there is a great deal to be done. One can, for moments, enter a world of silence, which at first seems to be a void, but which gradually becomes filled with a radiance as the being of light makes its presence felt. It is evident that a great deal can be done and should be and must be done in preparation for that moment which all embodied beings have to face, and that it is no good waiting until the moment is upon us. We must begin now, however young we are. Knowing what is going to happen, we can see that the advice given to meditators is very valid and to the point. We should never, it is said, accommodate or encourage any doubt about the meaning and direction of life. Even though we have only one single moment to live, we should forsake all worry about the past or the future and make a good use of the present. With dignity and controlled attention. Each moment of life should be lived with radiance, energy, and firm ideas. In conclusion, then, each of us should happily try to live our own lives and do our own jobs as best we can. And then we should be happy to meet our Creator with a sense of enormous indebtedness and a longing to pay our debts in full, but with no degrading burden of sin and shame.